Most of my Victorinox collection, not all, but most, we are missing a compact, black Explorer, a couple of classic SD little keychain knives that are also mislocated right now. But I figured I wanted to take an inventory and probably even do a video of it, like the entire collection. We'll do that in the future once we get them all located, but in the meantime, I wanted to get them all out, see how many I could find. I was in a conversation yesterday, and it was a text conversation. I was out driving around, and it was about knife collecting, and so I wasn't home, so I couldn't do this. So I got a chance to sit here during my lunch break, take a look at these. Now, I want to look at an oddball one today because, wait, how did that Camillus get in there? Get out of there, you. Scram. I wanted to look at an oddball one today because this one I don't believe is available anymore. And this was kind of one of my childhood fantasy knives, if you will. So, just being a kid, growing up, being into like MacGyver and stuff like that, having like an ultimate Swiss Army knife, if you will, was always kind of a fantasy. And I was able to make that fantasy a reality in the purchase of the XAVT Victorinox. And I believe there's, let's see what the actual thing says. Swiss Champ 1.6795.XAVT. Quite the name. Again, I don't think these are available anymore, and this is obviously kind of a collector's item. This has never been used, with 82 functions for collectors. That's kind of interesting. And it calls out the collecting nature of it. And apparently you get a guide to all of the functions. Isn't that cool? So, large blade, small blade, corkscrew, can opener, bottle opener. So it goes through all of it here. Maybe if you're really interested in seeing this, you can slow this down, because it basically lists every single tool, every implement, and wow, multiple languages. So this is pretty cool, and it's kind of a pharmaceutical spatula. Well, that would be handy in a laboratory setting. Let's flip this on over here, and wow, pruning blade, electrician's blade. So it's kind of a neat repository to feature all of some of their more rare tools, if you will. Universal wrench is kind of an interesting one. A watch opener is kind of interesting. I don't know how functional that would be on here. And then, of course, the watch function. So kind of a handy little guide to explain all the tools. And we'll take a closer look here. I've never pulled the battery thing to activate the clock. It's still pretty much in pristine condition, having sat in this box. And it's a bit of a, you see here, it's a bit of a display box. So it'd be really cool to eventually have like a glass case with all the Victorinox kind of on display, with this being kind of the centerpiece, maybe. I don't know. A boy can dream. So, but just taking a look at it. These always I thought were cool. These little kind of socket tools. I have these on the Cyber tool here, which is a pretty functional, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 layer knife. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, it's more like 6. But yeah, the Swiss Champ 1.6795 XAVT. Say that 20 times fast. Let's see here. Do you really want me to go through all these? Probably not. It's kind of an interesting thing to, do video work. You never know how much people are going to watch. You put all this effort into it. You put the entire time into it. And people, their attention spans are low. But there's a small blade. Let's see, what do we got next? Oh, that's the file. And then we have some of those oddball. Here's that. So here's that cool one. That's just at the edge enough. You probably could use that functionally. I typically use like a tiny little itty bitty screwdriver when I open my watches to replace the batteries, which I haven't been doing a lot since I've been doing martial arts, but I'm thinking about starting to wear a watch again, taking a break from karate for a while. But here's your flathead screwdriver and cap lifter, also known as a bottle opener, depending on your region and or dialect. It's one of those socket tools with the little bit in it. It looks like you get a Torx bit. I don't know what that is. It's pretty small. Looks like a T6 maybe. Then you got a hex kind of a bit on the other side. And then moving on next. Is that pharmaceutical spatula? I could make some jokes, but I won't. Here's the electrician's blade. That's kind of a cool one. I could see where that would be really functional. And then we have, what is this guy? I'm not going to open this back up, but it's a very particular type of knife. And then over here, scissors. Pretty ubiquitous in Swiss Army Victorinox world. They're famous for their scissors. And we have a little awl. And then we have a serrated blade. It's kind of interesting. And then we have, let's see, I don't want to skip anything. We have the awl, we just serrated blade. And then we have a couple of clear plastic implements here. We have the magnifying glass. I really like the ones with the old school kind that looks like it's from the 50s, where it's kind of gray. I'd like to get my hands on one of those, like a Scientist, Victorinox Scientist. Those are rare now. Here is batteries for the light, which apparently works and is not dead. I have this is a Spartan light that also has that same style flashlight on it. So not outputting a lot of lumens there, but still cool to have a little light. Victorinox light. I got a little set of batteries for those somewhere, battery pack. Actually, I have a whole Victorinox kind of service kit that I assembled myself that maybe we can talk about sometime. But, you know, it's got all the toothpicks and springs for your tweezers and the little needles, food grade oil, and there you can see the batteries. So back to the Swiss Champ 1.6795 XAVT. Man, good Lord, Victorinox. All right, so here we have a set of bits for your little socket tool. Looks like you got a flathead screwdriver, a smaller Torx, and a medium-sized Torx. The cool thing about the Victorinox I found, and I found this to be the case with the Cyber tool as well, is that they tend to include Torx bits that fit certain style knives as far as scales, and they also work really well on computers equipment, hence it being, you know, the Cyber tool. But you work in a lab and you have all these things. And here's some little pliers. So I have a Swiss Champ, I believe you call that, and I actually used the pliers on this to fix a machine at work one time, believe it or not. It was a piece of machinery from you-know-where, not in America, and I remember it was smoking and there was stuff falling off of it. I tightened a nut with one of those. So, let's see. Gotta keep your nuts tight. There's a inline Phillips screwdriver, which is pretty functional, being that it's near the edge there. And usually usually they have these where they stop at the 90-degree thing, so you can do 90-degree work. Kind of cool. And what do we have here? Oh, here's that, what is that, universal wrench? Looks like a crab claw. And then we already did the inline Phillips. So then we have the tiny flathead screwdriver and can opener. Hopefully they have that towards the edge. And here's that cap lifter. Did we start on the side? No, we start on the other side. Well, that's it. Now let's see. We have some back tools, of course. Here we have the corkscrew, and it looks like it does have the plus scales, where you have the pressurized pen, similar to a space pen, and the toothpick. I like that this particular Swiss Champ 1.6795 XAVT has some translucency, so you can kind of see in there. I like that when you can see in there. And then, so, pardon me for the use of my loud stentorian voice. Should have been a radio announcer. People tell me all the time. Chisel, that's cool. I like the chisel. It's got some nice and lubricated. Let's see, what do we have here? Kind of a little, I don't know what to make of that. Looks like a screwdriver, but it's got a taper to it. So I don't know. You'll have to rewind it and go through the guide and pause it at that point and see what that is. Is that another one? Did I literally just pull out the same one? Man. Ugh. Come on now. Hook tool. Now this is fun here. This is the secondary hook tool. Now, fun fact about this. So you have 2 hook tools on here, right? Here's a fun fact. Where's the other one? Sorry, I'm looking through the camera and doing this at the same time, which isn't always conducive to, you know, function. So here, 2 hook tools. Now you might notice there's a little bit of a difference between them. And this one is very unique that it comes on the Victorinox Compact, which is one of my favorite, and the reason why we're not doing a comprehensive video because I can't find it right now. But the hook tool with the actual file on it, which I do use sometimes to file my nails, is unique to the Compact, and they obviously included it as a secondary hook tool because it is in function a separate tool, a different tool. So that's kind of fun. And that looks like we might be, with the exception of, oh man, I kind of torqued on my thumbnail a little bit there. Looks like we have the chisel and sewing needle set up there. And then of course Victorinox does count the little key ring as a function. They always get by with that, counting that as a function. And I was gonna say no tweezers. They have the tweezers on the same side scale, the plus scales. So again, there's some translucency, so you can kind of see in there. Victorinox, see that? Well, there you go. That's the Victorinox Swiss Champ 1.6795 XAVT. One heck of a knife in a beautiful display case here that serves no function whatsoever other than being a collectible to look pretty and sit on a shelf. Probably much too big and awkward to be carried in the pocket. Front or back. And that, my friends, is the Victorinox Swiss Champ 1.6795 XAVT. Later.